So thanks for tuning in again. We'll start with some deep breaths. On the next exhale, bringing the chin down to the chest, stretching perhaps in the back of the neck or into the shoulder blades. Letting the head hang down. Maybe the shoulders roll forward slightly. Work in progress. And then on the next inhale, lifting the head back to neutral. Big breath in and breath out. Next inhale, inhaling the hands overhead. If it works for your neck, you can look up at the hands or fingers. If it doesn't, you can keep your head neutral, meaning looking at the imaginary horizon. We'll bring prayer hands to the heart. Inhale, and again on the exhale, bringing the chin to the chest. Inhaling back to center, hands come down, right hand down, and the left arm comes up, stretching overhead. Coming through center, finding that point in the center, the root and the crown, up and down, remember, and then taking it to the other side. Again, keeping the head neutral. If it feels good, you can look down at that hand on the floor. And I wouldn't recommend looking up yet. Let's get the neck a little bit warmer before we do that. Coming through center again, and one more time to each side. Coming through center again, this time we'll take an easy rotation. Early in the class, early in the series, so just let that rotation be where it is, never forcing it, especially at the beginning of class. Let your muscles find the point and know intuitively that that's the point you need to be at. Coming through center, hand on opposite knee, other hand behind you. Remember, we're not concave in that torso. We're still lifting up through the chest. One more time to each side. And last time. Coming through center, inhaling the arms up, prayer hands bend towards the shoulder blades, so we're stretching those elbows up. Keep in mind we're not punching in the shoulders stay down, leaving some room between the earlobes and the shoulders. Stretching out the triceps and the lats. And on the next exhale, if it feels okay, you can drop the chin to the chest. If it's too much on the neck and shoulders, again, keeping that head neutral. Coming back up, prayer hands come to the heart, big inhale. And on the exhale, bow down. If there's an intention you'd like to set for your practice, this is a great time to do it. If not, just take an inhale and an exhale of gratitude that you made it to the mat today. And we're going to shift positions here, coming into child's pose. Pushing that cushion aside if you're using one. Hands at the front of the mat. Remember, we want the hands at the front because we're going to do some stretching through tabletop. After we go into child's pose, arms reach forward, hips reach back, knees open to receive the stomach and the torso right in the center of the thighs. If that doesn't work for your knees and it's better to keep them together, you can do that. Ideally, we want the knees open, heels come together, hairline on the mat, And just resting in child's pose, taking some breaths here. And child's pose is a great way to really feel the breath going in and out of the body. You can feel the expansion of the lungs and the rib cage as you breathe in. And the sinking in and the falling of the lungs and the rib cage and the contraction of the muscles between the ribs as you breathe out. Another deep breath in and out. And we're going to walk those shoulders or the hands over to the right. Again, forehead coming down. Hips stay in place, keeping the arc in the torso here, getting a lateral flexion of the spine on that left side. Breathing deeply, exhaling completely, walking the hands through center and to the other side. And then walking the hands back through center, dropping the elbows, prayer hands reach back for the shoulder blades. You can keep them in prayer, you can bring your palms to the shoulder blades. And again, a little pressure on the elbows to create a stretch and an awareness in the lats and the triceps. Hands are going to come back out. And we're going to make our way into tabletop. Remembering, palms are on the mat, fingers spread, knees right under the hips, wrist right under the shoulders. If you have a wrist issue that prevents, like I do, that prevents the weight from coming directly over the wrist, you can decrease this angle a little bit by moving the knees back and creating a little less strain on the wrist joint. So we want to be really careful about that. So tabletop, we'll go into cat-cow. So on an inhale, crown and tail lift. And on the exhale, crown and tail drop. Going into the cat position as we exhale. Cow position as we inhale. Now there's no hard and fast rules about that. If the opposite feels better, if it feels better to exhale in the cow position, you can do that. But just make sure your breaths are deep and intentional and allowing that exhale to be full and complete. One more time. And then sinking back into child's pose, your option of changing the arm position. I like to bring my arms next to the body, rolling the wrist, bringing and calling some energy into the fingers and palms, and then allowing your arms to rest by your side. Coming into a state of neutrality before we continue to the next pose. So we'll come back up into tabletop. We'll extend that right leg out. Neutral hip here, toes facing the mat, dropping the toes and ball mound to the mat, stretching that right heel back. If you want to added intensity, remember we can add layers of intensity to the practice. You can bring that left or the opposite knee up or extend it back, creating a little more work for the body. And then we'll take an inhalation, relaxation breath. Do that a second time. We'll do this 3 times in total on each side. Another inhale, relax. And exhale, stretch it back. Both knees come down. Sink back into child's pose, arm position of your choice, but please roll the wrists to get some movement and energy flowing into the fingers, palms, and wrists. And actually the forearm muscles as well. We'll come up and do the other side. Tabletop to start. Let's take that left leg back, feeling the neutral hip, meaning that hip isn't coming up and open, but it's facing down towards the mat, toes down towards the mat, dropping the ball mound in the toes, stretching that left heel back. If you prefer, keeping that knee down for stability. If you want a little more work, you're going to lift that knee up to the chest or extend the leg back. Inhale, taking a break. And exhale, stretching it back again. Inhale, take a break. One more time, stretching it back, really feeling the stretch in the back of that leg. Knees are coming down and sinking back into child's pose, finding neutrality, bringing some movement into the hands, the fingers, and the palms, and allowing the body to come back to neutral. All right, coming back up into tabletop, we're going to do that same position with the leg, extending the leg back, dropping the right toes, pressing the heel back, and this time we're going to reach forward with the left arm as if you're shaking somebody's hand. So we've got opposite, pushing back with the heel, reaching forward with the left arm. Head stays in neutral. Make sure you're not kinking the back of your neck by lifting it up, but you're looking down at the mat. And then we'll slowly transition to the other side. Left heel goes back, right arm reaches. So opposite sides of the body. Knees come back down, hands come back down, sink back, this time dropping the elbows, reaching for the shoulder blades. You can still do a little wrist circle here. And then arms come back out. We'll do one more tabletop pose before going into the next segment of the series. So we're coming up into tabletop. You're gonna take that left leg, and I realize you guys might be doing opposite legs, and that's fine. Just make sure you do both sides. I'm gonna take my left leg out from the hip. Foot is parallel to the long end of the mat. Palms are spread. I've got a nice even base here. And I'm gonna go into the cat-cow with that leg extended. It's going to change that hip musculature as well as the low back musculature, so you'll get a nice stretch in that left hip. So cat-cow positioning. I like to inhale, crown and tail lift. Exhale, crown and tail go down, stomach pulls in, pressing that left foot or that extended foot into the mat. And again. One more round of inhale, exhale. If it feels okay on your knee, you can take a little dip back with that almost extending the back a little bit, bringing the hips down towards the heel. If this hurts your knees at all, please back off and just go right into child's pose. But if you press that left foot in and dip those hips down a little bit, extending the spine, dropping the head, you're gonna get a nice little extended stretch in left and actually the right hip as well. Bringing that leg back to neutral. Let's take a break, neutralizing the spine, rolling the wrists. Coming back up, we're gonna do the other side. So taking the other leg out. Ideally, it's right off the hip. If you need to move it back a little, if you're not flexible enough to put it right off the hip at that 90-degree angle, then by all means, go where you need to go, but make sure you have no pain in the knees or the hips, all right? Just a little discomfort from the stretch is fine, just a little, oh, that's kind of that good feeling. But if you have any sharp pains or severe pains, then just back off, all right? So again, cat-cow, other leg extended. One more. Taking that knee back to tabletop, sinking back into child's pose, arm position of your choice, rolling the wrists, and taking a nice deep breath here. Few nice deep breaths. All right, coming back up into a seated position, that will conclude the first, say, 20-minute segment of yoga. How fast did that go, right? Wow. Okay, so we're gonna take an inhale, arms come overhead, prayer hands come to the heart, and on the exhale, think of releasing anything that does not serve your greater good, anything that might get in the way of your peacefulness, right? Just let it go with the out breath. Remembering you can always do that throughout your day, taking an intentional deep breath in, and think of releasing any stress you don't need with that out breath. It's the start to relieving that stress. So another inhale, and on the exhale, prayer hands come to the heart, bowing down in honor of your own practice, sealing in anything learned, anything gained, and please thank yourself for coming to the mat. So I hope you'll continue with the next segment. If not, that's cool. This is a great kind of warm-up, 20-minute, get everything flowing yoga session. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. brightbluesageyoga.com. My name's Trisha, and I look forward to joining you again at some point. Thanks for tuning in again.